Hello, everybody. Welcome one, welcome all, welcome back to the Bleav in Iowa State podcast with your host Tyler Carter.
And your host, Cody Van Lello.
Cody, we basically have covered the recent Iowa State team, but today's episode, we're gonna take a look back at last season. One of the games that we're gonna look at is the BYU game. I know, at least for this one, I actually had to take a nap so I could stay awake to watch this beauty of a dub, man.
hmm Yeah. Yeah, actually for me, I would think I was just so I was back down in Des Moines with my aunt or whatever. And I mean I was just doing whatever and then football just happened to be on. So I just tuned on the game. And next thing you know, Iowa State BYU was happening. So and it was really fun. Like getting to see like what happened, like how he performed in Provo at night, which is usually heralded as one of the tougher environments in all of college football. So the
Right.
fact that we performed the way we did was great. And not just that, but talk about the core, like the commodity and the like the sense of comfort, the fan service. I remember seeing tweets from Iowa State fans saying that the BYU fans were giving our fans, like, I think it was like hot chocolate and ice cream or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were very kind. And I mean, honestly, BYU, I am pretty glad. I'm glad they're in the Big 12 because I think us and BYU is going to be a fun matchup, especially what we could see in volleyball. And speaking of volleyball, before we get to this game rewind, I actually just saw today the Big 12 put out their preseason poll for volleyball, women's volleyball. So
Yeah, I saw that.
yeah. So taking a look at the list here, I'm gonna read it from the bottom to the top. So first of all, I really wish this was a thing. Oklahoma State, please get a volleyball program. We need this to happen. I would love for them to get a volleyball program sometime. But anyways, starting from the bottom, you have number 15, Texas Tech, number 14, West Virginia, 13, Cincinnati, 12, one of the newcomers to the Big 12, Arizona, 11, UCF. At 10, you have Colorado. Welcome back to the Big 12. Number 9, welcome to the Big 12, Utah. Number 8, Houston. And number 7, Kansas State. They do actually have a first place vote. We'll get to a little more of that later on. But
Mm-hmm.
at number 6, you do have our Iowa State Cyclones. And number 5, Baylor. Number 4, TCU. They do also have a first place vote.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, Arizona State with 3 first place votes. Number 2, BYU with 4 first place votes. And then finally, Kansas with 6 first place votes. Very interested. I'm interested the fact they put Kansas at the as the consensual like number 1, like the first place team, when I thought it'd be BYU, because knowing BYU's volleyball program and what I saw last year, I thought maybe like BYU was better than Kansas, but we'll have to see. But I
Dude,
kind of like this spot for the Iowa State Cyclones. What do you think?
yeah, it's a great spot for them. Last year they did have some amazing matches, especially the ones against Texas. So I like our spot in this new Big 12. So I this for us, I think this will be great. So
Hmm Yeah.
I love where we sit in preseason rankings.
hmm
All right, Cody, let's get into this game rewind.
All right. Yeah.
There were a few clips that were big in this game, especially like at least right here. At least at this point in the game at 13:39.
hmm
We're gonna give a little bit of a backtrack for this one. So at least at this point in the game, right here, Iowa State, I Bleav they got a or no, an interception, and at that point were able to get a short field, and they
hmm
were able to drive in. I Bleav this is the play where they score.
Yeah, right. And as you look here, like I might be try to be as analytical as I can. But just notice here. So on the line, you do have what looks to be a 2 tight end set. You have Jaden Higgins up here on the right. and then you looks to be Jalen Knoll and Eli Sanders here. You got Rocket Bag. Looks like we're in a I formation here. Meanwhile, you have BYU, who's got about they've got all 11 guys stacked up in this box area. So we're gonna see how this like plays out and understand how that kind of works out.
Reception, and now Iowa State has first and goal. Rocco Beck slings it out right side. Touchdown, Cyclones. Jalen Knoll.
And that play was called to perfection right there, because you knew when Jalen Noah was in the fullback position that he was going to go on that little swing pass right there for a touchdown. So that was a perfect play call.
Yeah,
cooked up
yeah.
by
It looked like to me
right
it looked like to me maybe in that formation. I couldn't tell exactly, but it looked like they were in kind of like this zone-esque. I'm gonna mute this real quick, but looking here, so you see here, it looks like at first, but it was a zone defense, or actually it was man, because you see the defender here, number 5, was coming up to get to Jalen Knoll, but Jalen Knoll had there was so much space that you really couldn't do anything. The defender really had no chance on that one until it was too late.
And I think he bit on the fake by Eli Sanders too, if you look, because he was like, "Oh crap!" Because if you look, it looked like, okay, play it again.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna actually play this in maybe like a slow motion here. So just to break that down.
Yeah.
Okay. So all right. So I think number 5 is right here. It looks like right here. Okay.
Yeah.
So right here, there's the handoff. Actually, no, I think he generally he's still going for Jalen Knoll. It looks like.
Oh, he was slow getting over there.
Yeah, he also got picked off by his own defender right here.
Yeah.
He also had that momentary collision by the defender right there. It opens up the space for Jalen Knoll. And I mean, that's pretty much the start of it. That was the start of the game for the Cyclones. And I mean, had nothing else you can ask for right there.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That was a thing of beauty right there.
Yeah, there's another angle right there. So, I mean, just a really perfect start for Iowa State, I'd say.
Oh, for sure.
Yep.
This definitely was a thing, and right here we go.
Yeah, I mean,
no, he fumbled.
Okay,
and then that was a game changer right there. I was like, oh crap, he got it again. So it's just, this sets us up with another short field, a great play by Drew Sturgis.
Exactly. I mean, that's just what you really want to ask for out of your guy.
Right.
Just realistically, I mean, Joey Peterson gets on it. It was actually Caleb Bacon making the punch, and then Drew Sturgis is able to kind of to be able to recover that. And I would think it was a good start for Iowa State. It looked like unfortunately they were not able to really convert that for a touchdown, but they were able to get a field goal out of it. It was a 31-yarder. And I mean, you take that with cashing in on the field goal. With a field goal, that's great off of that fumble recovery.
Yeah, I mean, anytime when you can get points on the drive, don't really matter if it's a touchdown or a field goal. Just being able to have a 10-point cushion for your defense, the defense can tee off. So, it was a pretty good start.
Yeah, let's see here. So after that, BYU finally goes on their drive, and realistically, what did you think about BYU's first drive?
BYU's first drive, the defense. And the defense sort of was struggling a little bit because the BYU got into sort of their own groove. And then I'm like, all right, come on, defense, y'all got to get it together.
Yeah, because I think this play right here, so this was the start of their drive. Actually, well, yeah, I mean, just not able to really tackle the quarterback. I mean, yeah, at first we were not having a great time.
Yeah,
it was difficult. And I think this pitch right here was perfect.
That was a great read by the quarterback. Yeah, that's off right there.
I mean, grateful for both Breeler to be able to break that off, to stop the touchdown.
Right.
But unfortunately, that wouldn't be for too long, because I believe they did eventually score. Yeah, right here. So this was the play before.
Right.
Yeah, and then right here. Yeah, so this touchdown right here. So it looks like obviously they were going for. I think this was a QB draw, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, this is Huey guard because I think he converted right here and scored.
Yeah, actually no.
Or
That was
no.
great by TJ Tampa.
That was great. That was great. A penetration by TJ Tampa.
Then the next
Yeah,
play.
yeah.
Yeah, that play right there. Yeah. So I mean, great coverage for TJ Tampa, but I mean, you proceed to give up a touchdown anyways, because it's just a simple route over the middle. I mean, it's getting the ball from out of the QB's hands real fast.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's not really much to write home about, if you will.
No, it really wasn't. But they got
Yeah.
back into the game, and now we're at 10-7.
And unfortunately, Iowa State didn't get any points in their next possession.
Yeah, that drive was a little bit of a struggle. So they went 3 and out on that drive, and then BYU gets the ball back.
Yeah. All right. So so after that, I mean, we kind of get through so now we're down at about so we get the ball back after we also stop BYU. About what 2.5 minutes to go here. So yeah, we're at about 2:35. Eli Sanders takes the handoff, and props to the O line for opening up a lot of holes. I mean, almost a touchdown right there, just from Eli Sanders.
Dude, the O line did a fantastic job in this game. This is one of the games where their talent shined, and
Yeah.
So
Did you
let's
look
look at it
here?
right here.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, take a look first off the snap. You do notice what about 6 defenders here? It's also a 6-on-6, so it's not necessarily like blitzing here, but it's not too shabby. Now, you do immediately you notice throughout the game, we just were able to really assert ourselves offensively in the trenches, as we like to put it, because that's been always one of the big messages from Matt Campbell was
Right.
being able to win in the margins and winning in the trenches. This day showed that we were clearly the better team in that regard.
They sure did.
Yeah, Neil able to pick up this block right over here. This is what's important, and he did a really good job choosing the right guy to block. Because even though to the naked eye, playing O-line is simple, it's not really.
It's not.
Because I mean, you have to understand who you're blocking, which way the line is going, and just you got to know leverages. Simple as that.
Right, leverages, and then knowing what the blocking scheme is. So it's not easy as people say it is.
Yeah, and although, James Neal unfortunately does get pancaked, but he's able to hold up the defender long enough to open up a hole. And then you see Easton Dean up the field, so he's helping as a blocker. Our O-line's able to shift everybody to their left. And, I mean, from there, Eli Sanders just breaks a few tackles. And
I mean, and let's talk about the vision right there, Cody, because let's go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
So we're okay. Yeah. Okay. So you see Eli on that run. He has great vision right here. Start it up again.
Yeah. And then
look at that. And then look at that cut right there. That was a perfectly timed cut. Tyler Moore getting off that block. He got that cut, and then he was able to accelerate and get the first down. That was a beautiful run by Eli.
Yeah.
One of his many runs that he had in that game. That was great.
Yep. And now, first and goal from the 5. You're looking at two wide receivers set out wide, and looks to me so you got about a 5-man front for BYU. You've got 1 defender in the end zone. You got 10 guys in front of the goal line. You got obviously the safety up top. And I think the idea here is basically you can allow you don't want to let obviously your guy into the end zone here. Now, normally in this situation, since Tyler, you do have experience in football, what do you suggest? What do you usually your coaches say it as the most optimal coverage in that case? Has he ever told you that?
In this, you're talking about for in this when the offense comes out in this set?
Yeah. What is the kind of go-to for you?
So defensively, I was more of an offensive guy, so I can't really answer that.
Yeah.
But I gotta think if you put it back up again, I gotta think that right here, when the offense comes out in this, I gotta think that they're gonna be with uh what's his name? That was Cartavius Norton in the backfield. I think they're gonna
Mm-hmm.
be keyed in on the run right here.
Yeah.
Because I think that because they have what 1, 2, 3, they have 8 guys in the box right there. So
Yep.
I think they're at that point because they were getting gashed on the ground, so they were uh, uh expecting the run at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
I think in this I also would be if I was getting gashed on the ground, be like, hey, we need to watch for the run, dude. So
Yeah.
watch. So that's why there's 8 guys in the box. So I believe on this play we threw it to Higgins.
Yeah. I think we might have we'll have to see here. It's just, actually no, it was just Rocco taking it. So surprising. Yeah, I guess we were just trying to throw him off guard, but BYU was ready for it, and I mean they get the
And,
stop.
right, and in this they were, and then when we spread them out, there's 3 wide, and then there's a tight end that's wide. I believe that's Gabe Burkle.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, because I think you have Demetrius Stanley on the numbers,
Jalen
just like
Noel.
the Jalen Noel on the slot. You got Higgins on the other side. That's like the 1-2, and then Urkel in the middle,
Yep.
and then looks like Abu Sama is in the backfield. So you got
Right.
some more. Yeah, so you have pass catching options here. And
Right.
BYU maybe looks like they were because I mean I think BYU tends to be like what in maybe a man coverage or actually no it was Eli Sanders, my bad, but I mean relatively untouched in the end zone. That was just great. Again, another great job of the offensive line to really provide that. And you see right here, yeah, this is perfect for us.
Yeah, that lead
Obviously,
block by James Neal right there, chugging along.
yeah. Look at that parting the it, dude. It looks like you're parting the Red Sea. Just
Oh, he's on the
wide.
corner.
Yeah, and like barely
Oh,
touched. He got barely touched
oh
until he was
man.
already in the end zone. That's the crazy part about that.
I bet when he saw James Neal, he was like, "Oh no!"
Definitely, definitely for sure.
Oh.
And I mean, that was just a start. That was just great. I mean, I don't know what else to say about this BYU game. I mean, watching in real time, it was just you. It's like you never saw this Iowa State team perform this way up to this point
Right.
because you just were never used to us literally bullying people because we kind of we had problems at times like with our offensive line, especially like early in the season. You remember, like those first couple of weeks were pretty bad.
Well,
But I mean,
yeah,
but again, that progression just, I think, yeah, it's a theme with Iowa State. We tend to get better as the season goes on.
that is true. And you gotta remember that this team was very, very young. So you knew that at the end of the season, this team, like, yeah, we took our licks in the beginning. We took
Mhm.
our licks from Oklahoma when we lost 50-20.
Yeah,
And
but
I mean,
that's to be expected. It's Oklahoma. Like, wasn't that Dylan Gabriel led?
yeah, it was Dylan Gabriel led, and I remember when everybody was asking, "Are we that bad, or is Oklahoma that good?" And then Oklahoma proved the next week when beating Texas that Oklahoma was that good. So like
Yeah,
I was like,
they're
well,
just
that
that
answered
good.
that question. I was like, you guys, we're not
Hmm.
that bad, you know.
Hmm. Yeah, and I mean,
So
and I was like, and I just wanted to say, by the way, if you're if you're watching the YouTube video, you'll actually be able to see like these highlights. If you're listening on our streaming platforms, you might not be able to, but I have to give credit to the guy who compiled these no huddle highlights, Thomas Ornes. Shout out to him. He's the guy on YouTube. You can find him on YouTube. That's channel name. He compiles like a lot of these no huddle highlights for our enjoyment, and I applaud him for that.
he does a great job with these. He basically almost has every single game from last year.
Mm-hmm.
With
Yeah.
in-depth highlights.
Mm-hmm.
Does
So
a
I
great
mean,
job.
obviously, Iowa State driving down the field. Yeah, you had that big connection to Knoll across midfield, and I mean, there were times. I mean, BYU were getting stops as well. It's not like we were just like all like dominating them in that regard. They were getting stops, especially early in this game.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
then,
the offense. at the beginning was a little bit inconsistent. Like right after those turnovers, the BYU settled in, and
Yeah.
the offense was struggling,
Mhm.
having a getting a getting rhythm going,
Yeah.
and then So at this point, we're still trying to figure each other out. So
Yeah, but I think we've done a much better job at figuring it out. And I
oh, for
wanted to bring
sure.
up this play right here. This tight end screen, it's so beautiful. Like I don't know what it is, but these tight end screens were like one of the plays that were like consistently working for us. I don't know what it was, but they
Yeah,
were always like they just worked. I don't know if it's
those
like
tight end
our
screens did work, man. That was a beautiful play call. That was beautiful by Shieldhouse right there.
Mhm.
He's like, we
Yeah, I
know
mean,
they're gonna be crashing heavy, so we're gonna throw it to our tight end.
yeah, I mean, look at this. Even if you have like you think about like the defenders around him, you have like look at this, and even the awareness for Rocco, like the poise of Rocco Beck, with even with the guy in his face, able
Yeah.
to deliver that like ball, puts it right where Ben Bramer could get it relatively easily. Then you
Mm-hmm.
already have like two blockers here. You've got Jim Boniface, I Believe,
Yeah,
here.
it's Jim
It
Boniface.
looks
Yeah.
like you already have another blocker up the field as well. Yeah, yeah, you already have two blockers up the field. Ben Bramer able to take it and just gets that first, like a very important first down. Because up to that point, we were stalled.
Right. So that was a a great play right there,
Mhm.
to keep the drive alive
Yeah,
and
and obviously
just
you're going to circle it here. Just look at that. In the face of pressure, Rocco Beck able to get that off.
man.
Like most guys, I don't know how you're going to like. I mean, even though Jim Boniface gives that up, and you got a free rusher coming in right at your face. So for Rocco to stand in and like with the poise and the composure to like even willing to take that hit, that just shows. Reminder, he's a redshirt freshman at this point. Although he's been the starting entire year, he's still a redshirt freshman. So for him to have that ability shows that he's a great piece and one of the best QBs. And then obviously another connection to Jaden Higgins. Man, I'll have to
Yeah,
say,
and that was a rocket. I will say about Rocco, this is why he's proven even in this offseason why he's the leader of this team, man. Just willing to put his body on the line, and then just for him, he's even keeled, man. He doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low. And he like we said, he puts the ball on the line and is willing to do anything for a teammate. I love that
yep.
about him.
So then, oh man, okay, here we go. And then on the next play, we'll show it right about here. Yeah, just I don't even know what else to say. Our ground game was working throughout, and look at that,
Woo!
Cartavius Norton. Obviously, Cartavius Norton is a bigger build, so he's definitely built for like those more like downhill running and just running over people. But no need to worry. All the blocking was perfect, barely touched, and just no
Beautiful
chance.
run.
Yeah, no chance for BYU to get that. So we're just building the lead at this point. This is just it's unprecedented what's happening here. And I mean, we kind of needed this game, I Bleav, because I think this was what? This was after the Kansas game, if I'm not mistaken.
It was.
We yeah, we were right there. And like had it not been for a missed call Jalen Knowles like kick one of his kick returns. It got miscalled. Should have been like maybe out at like the 1, but it got called out at the 30, even though usually you let it play out.
Well, it was that, and then when the Cyclones got back in the game, they had that crazy 80. That Kansas had that crazy 80-yard touchdown pass. I don't know if
Yeah.
you remember that.
Yeah, I do.
That
Yeah, I
basically
mean,
put a nail in the coffin in the game. I'm
yeah.
like, oh
I
my
think
gosh.
I think that 80-yard touchdown was after the missed call. I actually remember Jake Bren from KCCI posted the full video of that play where clearly Jalen Knowles' feet were nowhere near out of bounds, but the ref called it dead. Now, as an official, like you usually in that situation, if you are unsure about if they stepped out of bounds or not, you just got to let the play go. You let the play go and see what happens, and then you can go review it after. So the fact they just called it down on the spot, it was just an absolutely like that was just absolutely missed. And I think to this day, just we would have at least like had the opportunity to win that game. I'll be honest.
No, so that's the thing is that we had a chance, we had our chances in that game. Besides that,
Mm-hmm.
and like once it was 21-18 because the defense shared up at that point, and just man, that 80-yard touchdown was a freaking backbreaker, dude. I
Yeah, that
remember I was
was.
like, you got to be kidding me, because it was, I think it was on a third down too, because everybody was hyped. The stadium was so lit, bro. And then I'm
Yeah, I
like,
think I wonder. I think there
ah,
must. I think the reason why I think that was given up. I think there was just a miscommunication on who was on what. I don't know if they. I couldn't remember if they were running man or zone.
yeah, it
But
was whoever the safety was back there bit on that fake. And
yeah,
it
that's
was,
what it was. Yeah,
yeah,
I think because it was who. Yeah, quarterback for Kansas was it Jason Bean, if I'm not mistaken.
it was Jason Bean, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a young. Again, I'm assuming like most of these safeties, like most of these like defenders outside of Bo Freeler and TJ Tampa are like newer kids to the game. So, I mean, granted, it's late in the season. You should be able to know what you're doing, but obviously, you're still going to have those mistakes. And I mean, unfortunately, it just cost us a very long touchdown and it just sucked.
It
But
did. I'm like, oh,
yeah, but definitely this BYU game, I think it was kind of just like, just wanting to get that taste out of our mouth.
yeah,
And we just needed somebody to just beat the tar out of. And unfortunately, that was to unfortunately, BYU was the one in our direction. So then our next drive. So actually this is like about like with about 5 minutes left in the about 5 minutes left in the half. We're
yeah.
able to like drive down the field, and now we're like kind of in BYU territory. Here's like a really good dart. Was that Daniel Jackson?
That's Andrew Jackson, yeah.
Hmm. And then Abu Sama. I mean,
Oh, this was beautiful.
dude,
Woo!
he was just shifty. He was moving all over the place. I mean, we got obviously the big one out of Kansas State, but I mean, we saw this first at BYU. We should have seen what was coming. Like this was kind of like,
Man,
would you say like this was Abu Sama's like
this was
breakout?
his coming. This was his coming out party, dude. Because just
Yeah,
look at
dude, look at
this.
this. Look, I don't even know what to
Woo!
say.
Like
The
cut those
patience, the
cuts,
poise,
bro.
yeah, the change in direction was amazing on that. Like,
Insane, bro.
mhm.
And
I don't
I
even
mean,
know.
this is the first of his second of his two touchdowns. Like it's crazy,
Yeah.
bro.
And obviously our fans there, we mentioned this earlier. The BYU fans were very cordial to the Iowa State fans. And again, I always have to give my graces to BYU and like what they did right here. So, okay, right. Okay. I have to go right before this because yeah, obviously he makes that breakaway, but kind of the thing that I noticed here. Look how I guess you could say how patient he is right here. He's a bit patient in this regard, right?
Yeah.
So obviously you're waiting for those holes to open up. Stutter step right there, yeah. And then he just realizes, I think he looks in this peripheral vision. He
He's like,
sees the hole.
ooh, I found something.
Yeah. And then all he has to do is just beat the defender right here. And he just left him on an island.
That was
And he is
disgusting.
gone. He is gone.
Oh, and he was still trembling at behind
Yep.
him.
Yeah, and then another
What?
just left them on left them on concrete shoes right there, and just
Yo.
and I mean
Oh, that was
31
sick.
points and a half for Iowa State. I do not usually see that. Am I mistaken? We
I
don't usually
mean,
do that.
we usually don't, man. Usually in our dominant wins, it's like it's
Yeah.
suffocating. It was usually our dominant wins are more like the Cincinnati game, but we were
Yeah,
just on
suffocating
one on this game.
defense. Well,
Yeah,
there you go. Speaking of suffocating defense, getting to the
Caleb
quarterback.
Bacon, man.
I mean, first you had Zachary Lovett made first contact, and then just our defense, like throughout, like other than the first drive, we were on points. Like we
Oh
just were on
yeah,
point. What? So I don't know what the end game, like the end game stats were like, but we basically just, we just took it to the half, and
yeah. We'll go over the. We're gonna go over this because I mean, then there's just two other touchdowns and the rest. That we're gonna talk about, and then we're gonna go over the full stats, and then I'll present the full
yeah,
stats.
yeah. All
We'll go
right,
over the box score.
yeah. All right, so we'll take a look here. So here's, I think, this is BYU receipt. Yeah, They forced the 3-and-out on Iowa State. And I mean, at least on this drive, they looked like they came out pretty good. I mean, they did a really good job in this like drive right here.
Mm-hmm.
Just take what the defense is giving them. I mean, maybe we were kind of playing a little sloppy, but that trick play, good God.
That trick play was a great play call right there.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Well executed. I mean, obviously, yeah, well drawn up and well executed to get that crowd going. And then they go for the 2-point conversion. And I'm surprised they didn't call the QB down at that point, but it didn't really matter.
Right.
And then, yeah, then, I mean, I think from there, that was BYU's last points of the game, if I'm not
The last
mistaken.
points of the game, and we scored the last 2 touchdowns of the game.
Yeah, let me find those. Actually, hold on. Before we get to those touchdowns, I found a couple plays that I really want to watch. Here, just look at the execution. So, I mean, Jalen Noel's known for things like this, but yeah, a lot of green estate. And I mean, all he has to do, and actually, I completely forgot this was a touchdown.
Yeah, this is the touchdown. Yeah, man, off that little swing pass, and he had the
60
speed.
yarder.
Yeah,
And obviously our fans are really enjoying it. I mean, there's Anthony Beck actually.
yep.
Shout out Anthony Beck from the St. Louis Battlehawks. Now, I think the big piece of this, Demetrius Stanley, right here. He obviously is able to draw his guy right here, and all he has to do is just get this block right here, and he's gone. I mean, number 0 had no chance at that point, and all Jalen Noel had to do was just take it to the house.
He's like, let him run, and then he'll outrun that guy. He has the speed to do it. So, I mean, that was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and just well executed. Like we obviously our coaching staff always preaches like precision to detail and like execution.
Right.
And this was actually the personification of it going well for you. This was the personification of that. Like, I don't know, you could have drawn up any better game than BYU that season. Because I mean, outside of BYU, like I think BYU, in my opinion, was probably our best performance.
I completely agree.
Like,
It was our best performance. It was our best performance that year. I do think our most complete game. I think it was our best performance and our most complete game as a team.
So, I mean,
I think Cincinnati was our most dominant performance, but I believe this is our most complete game.
Yeah, because I mean, you got it done all 3 elements of the football game. You got it done on the offense. You got it done on the defense, and you even got it done on special teams, like forcing that fumble after we scored the touchdown.
Yeah, and I believe we didn't miss a field goal or a extra point in this game.
No, we did not. So just great execution all around. And unfortunately for BYU, it was just a really bad day because even when they had the long play, I mean, you see a guy slip. It's just unfortunate. You never want to see your guy slip on the turf.
Yeah.
No, that's the worst kind of like loss.
Yeah.
And I mean, at this point, BYU's just playing desperate, and they were not getting anything. And yeah, overthrown. I mean, there wasn't really too much to say, but I mean, I think we can find the touchdown.
The Abu Sama run. Yeah, I believe the Abu Sama run is coming up because that's the last touchdown that we scored.
Yeah, the last like notable thing, if you will.
Yeah. And what's his name? Didn't JMO get a lot of playtime in this game too?
Yeah, I saw JMO's number like throughout this game. I did see his jersey out there prominently. Even though he gave up that touchdown early in the game, he was locking it down after that.
He played very, very well in this game.
I think it took him that drive to realize, okay, well, this wasn't working. And I mean, he adjusted really well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so here's that Abu Sama touchdown that you were talking about. And just the patience. And just once he finds that lane, just accelerates.
Acceleration, man. It just green grass galore, dude. And he's like to the house touchdown. Like,
yeah.
I think, like we said, this game was his coming out party because a couple of weeks later, we all know what happened.
Yeah. I mean, even then, I'd say like before that, I think the TCU game, the Jack Trice Legacy game, he had that long touchdown. So that was just
He did.
a flash of what Alabama could be. And I mean, yeah, look, looks like BYU was coming out with about was that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9
Yeah,
guys in the
9 guys in the
box.
box.
Looked like a blitz as well. I think it looked like a blitz, yeah.
It was
Or I
just
think it was just
perfectly. It was perfectly blocked, and he had the. Yeah, look at dude. Look at all the hats on the hat right here. Everybody is
they have a guy that like they can block. Like
yeah.
nobody's missing blocks. Even Daniel Jackson on the right,
Look
even
at
though it's
him.
going to the
Yeah,
way other side of the field, he's still like helping out. Is that Tyler Miller over here?
yeah. That's Tyler Miller. Yeah,
Yep. And then you got Steve Klotz and Easton Dean on the left. Look like yeah, so they got their blocks.
that's
Neil.
James Neal.
Yeah,
That's
and then
Hufford,
yep. And I think Boniface might be in.
Boniface, and then I believe that's Tyler Merrill, the guy
Mhm.
from Assumption, from Davenport.
Yeah. So I mean, all you have to do now, yeah, the only thing you really were worried about it, like the only thing that's minuscule is not committing a penalty because I mean, you had green grass. That all you had to do was just execute to perfection, and they did exactly that. Some pancakes were made, make one guy miss, and I mean, nobody left to catch up. Just the just that acceleration, that gear. Once he sees the end zone. I mean, nothing you could really ever like you can ask out of your freshman true freshman running back, and I think from there really wasn't too many notable things. Would I say? I mean, we did have a few runs here actually. Think I think we had a goal line stop if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
Yeah, right. Yeah, this was like that goal line stop, and this is again amazing by the defense. Even though we're up big, you still get a goal line stop like this. This is how you know you had a really good day. And I mean, I
yeah. They're
think,
just
yeah,
gonna.
both Freeler able to just nudge him out of bounds before he got to the marker. So I thought for a second they would have it. I mean, Bo Freeler being right there. Did enough and
Both.
enough pressure. I think that was, and then Joey Peterson with the pressure as well,
Yeah.
forcing is that Caden Slovis to throw it a little earlier than he wants to.
Yep.
Then obviously backed up, Cartavius Norton just breaking tackles. We were just our running backs were just having this was just a field day for our running backs. They were getting all kinds of good reps. Like numerous
Right.
tackles, sudden change of directions. Yeah, breaking a guy, and then just just the stutter steps are really nice, just beautiful overall. And I mean, there's nothing else you can really ask for when it comes to that. And I think we just took care of business from there. Nothing really of note took place the rest of that
Yeah.
game, and we took care of business. Let's see here.
Yeah. So right now we're gonna go and look at the box score right now.
Mhm.
So I'm
Yeah,
gonna put that. So we're
yep,
gonna share the screen
yeah. Let you do that because I
right
mean,
here.
all
Yeah.
right,
Okay. So here we go. So Rocco was actually pretty good in this game. 15 and 23, 203 yards. So
mhm.
a pretty decent game from him.
Yeah,
Pretty accurate. And then Abu, 8 for 110 and 2 touchdowns. Dude, look at that average, 13.8 yards a carry.
mhm.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like,
I just how do
man,
you like that? You couldn't ask for anything more out of your running backs, and not even him. Let's like our run game as a whole was really great that day. I mean, 234 yards on the ground.
yeah. I mean, look
Talk.
at the average, 6.3 yards per carry, 4 touchdowns on the ground.
Mhm.
Unreal.
Yeah, I mean, we had various guys carried like the ball. I mean, even Rocco Beck got in a little bit on the rushing action, but most of his game was in the air. So our receivers really like they did even for they were relatively quiet, but they were very important. Like they made some very important plays. I mean, obviously the big play being Jalen Knoll taking it to the house. Jaden Higgins had himself a couple of nice catches, and then obviously that tight end screen from to Ben Bramer. It's a thing of beauty.
Yeah, and Carson Hansen has a few nice catches. And like we talked about, Drew Surges coming up big. One of our
Hmm.
guys that we think is going to be a big contributor this year.
Hmm.
He came up with the fumble recovery on that kickoff.
Yep.
I mean, it was just an all around just complete game, by Iowa State in this game.
Yeah.
Let's look at some of the defensive stats right here.
Hmm.
Joey
Yeah. So.
Peterson was a leading tackler with 8 total tackles with 2 solos, and he had a half sack.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, after that, you have Bo Freeler with 7 tackles, 7 total tackles for Bo Freeler, 5 solo, and then yeah, goes on the list. Almost everybody on our defense like contributed in one way or another. I mean, Caleb Bacon had a sack. You had a tackle for loss and Tyler Onyenum, and then a couple of half sacks from Joey Peterson, Zachary Love. Yeah, Joey Peterson, Zachary Lovett, and then you even saw a little bit of Miles Mendezun.
Yeah,
So
he
he got
got
some action
some.
as well.
Yeah, one solo
We got
tackle and a half tackle for a loss.
So our guy, yeah. So we got a lot of like good reps from our defense, and it's gonna definitely be needed coming into the season because this is gonna be. I think this defensive unit that we have now is gonna be even better than what we had last year.
Yeah, definitely, man. I completely agree. And yes, I do remember. I want to talk about the Iowa State was able to get 2 turnovers, interception by Will McLaughlin and the interception by JMO. Because I remember that I was like, I believe JMO got an interception in this game, and it did. I was like,
Yeah.
my memory served me correctly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was
Yeah.
pretty cool to see a local guy,
Hmm.
especially near and dear to your heart. Just to see
Exactly.
him
Yeah.
shine. I know it was probably pretty cool for you to see.
Yeah. And then Will McLaughlin getting that interception. I think his interception was actually on the first play of the game.
Yeah, that's
He got the
yeah.
interception. Like I don't know. I gotta find that play, but it was literally right after kickoff, and we had like I think we were just coming back. Like we had just finished up a what was it? There were some other games that were going on. I don't remember what game was going on at that point.
Crap. I remember because I was watching it before this. I don't remember.
Yeah, yeah, because that was what week.
That would have been week. Uh, I think week 10 or 11, I believe.
Yeah, okay. Because there were some pretty good games. Okay, hold on. Let me yeah, because I'm trying to find that Will McLaughlin interception. See if it's here. Damn it. Unfortunately, yeah, I'm trying to find the interception because that was such a good interception. I can't find it,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But I mean, yeah, just from the start, just from the start to finish, all around, just perfect get ball. I don't know what else to say. I'll be honest, I don't know what else to
No,
say.
no. I mean that's what it was. It was an all around great performance, by the Cyclones, and it helped us become bowl eligible. After I mean, you got to remember that's what this game did, man. After a disaster of a season, after going into the off season, after many people, even in our own fan base, saying that we would only win 3 or 4 games, uh, and just this team showed out, man. Um, just and even at this point, being 5-2, we still had a chance, a little bit of outside chance in November to still compete for a Big 12 title.
Yeah,
Um,
because I mean,
but
yeah, at that point, there were so many tiebreakers that I think because I think heading into that game, we had quite a few teams that like what was it? What was it 5-2, and then you had like a couple of six. Yeah, because I think let me take a look here. I think at this point in time,
well, it would have been us, Oklahoma State, and Oklahoma. At that point, those were like the only teams that had a realistic chance of being in the title race.
yeah, 'cause I think at that point it was because after that week, it was Iowa State was 5-2, Texas was obviously they were 6-1. Oklahoma State was 5-2. West Virginia, Oklahoma. So this was kind of like the Big 12 standings from after the results of all the games that week, because this was the week of November 11th.
Yeah.
Iowa State 5-2, Texas 6-1 in the Big 12, Oklahoma State 5-2, Texas Tech and Kansas being 4-3. So those two would have had like outside shots, and so did West Virginia because they were also 4-3. And then Oklahoma and Kansas State were also 5-2. So you had about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'll say 8, like 5 to 8 teams if you want to throw in those 4-3 squads as like teams to make it into the Big 12 championship game. But it's really that 5 that were at least 5-2 or above, because Texas was the one, like they were the only one 6-1, so they were like basically like almost a shoe in for the Big 12 championship. It was 4 teams fighting for that second spot.
Well, right, yeah, and Kansas had the at that point had the tiebreaker over OU since they beat OU, and I believe, I don't know if this was the week or the next week or maybe it was the previous week before that Bedlam happened, because I believe that was when Oklahoma State had the tiebreaker. I don't know if this game was the next week. I'm trying to figure out when
No,
Bedlam was.
yeah, it was the week before, because
Okay.
Bedlam happened the same week we lost to Kansas.
Oh, right. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, yeah, it was a thriller. I mean, 20. Yeah, because the week we had BYU, that was the week the Space U game happened. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of that Space U game, I want to take a look at I got to take a look at these stats real quick. Now that we've now that we're in this week of like college football, this was crazy.
That was wild. That like we talked about in the last podcast, Cody. That was probably one of the most best team performances that I've seen that last year. Yeah, that was a complete game, just a complete drubbing.
Yeah, this was utter domination by UCF in this monsoon. I mean, you look at UCF's passing, their quarterback, John Plumlee, 11-18 for 300 yards, basically 3 touchdowns. Very efficient game from him. But look at that rushing. Look at RJ Harvey.
Man.
In the monsoon, 24 carries for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns, which are longest being a 92-yard run. I remember watching that 92-yard run. I'm like, no way.
Yeah, bro, he had blazing speed. He was gone.
And then UCF receiving, actually, they did pretty well as well. Like, this was just a great all-around game. Obviously, the big highlight, Javon Baker with 4 receptions for 112 yards, and then Kobe Hudson with 3 touchdowns off of 3 receptions for 96 yards.
Unreal.
And then on the defensive side, unfortunately, they did lose I think they lost 1 fumble, but they also recovered a fumble. Yeah, because I think they recovered the Ollie Gordon fumble. Yeah, they recovered the Ollie
Gordon fumble. Yeah.
Yeah. But the difference was this was not a great game for Alec Bowman. The re-interception right here. Damari Henderson with 2, and then Braden Marshall with an interception. So, yeah, I mean, that whole week was just utter chaos, and I'm very glad that was a pretty fun week. And I mean, at least if we have glimpses of going to the Big 12 title game with that young of a team, I think we could very well be in Arlington come December.
I mean, I think just from a team standpoint, I do think that this team resembles more the 2020 team than the 2021 team.
For sure.
Mainly just because, like, a lot of people don't know any of these names at all. And, I mean, they just popped onto the scene because, with Brees ended up being a household name. Everybody knew a little bit about Brock. Brock had one of his best seasons. The defense was amazing. So I think with this young team, I think we're going to be more like the 2020 team than the 2021 team.
For sure. The sky is the ceiling for them. And I just think we definitely learned our lesson from that 2020 and that 2021, those 2 seasons. I think we've learned our lesson. I think we figured out what went wrong for us and just those expectations. I mean, again, I have to put it in perspective. Iowa State had never been in that kind of position. And I just think the players, like, obviously, like, they probably weren't ready for it, but that's also kind of because they were basically capped out at just how talented that team can be in terms of growth. Because that 2021 team
Right.
was basically all seniors.
Yeah. I mean, and everybody thinks, oh, yeah, sometimes it just doesn't work out, but I think it will work out for this team. All right. That is all the time that we have today. Thank you for joining us in our game rewind with the 2023 season with against the BYU Cougars. Join us next time as we do our second game rewind on the classic in Manhattan, Snowmageddon. So thank you once again for listening to the Bleav in Iowa State podcast. Rate us on your favorite podcast provider, 5 stars, and also don't forget to follow us on all of our social media pages. And with Tyler Carter,
And with Cody Vancilello,
this is the Bleav in Iowa State podcast. Go Cyclones.
Go State.